welcome to Life with Jane. So we've got our weekly chat and my little dog's on my settee again, just looking out of the window. It's a very misty, sort of foggy, drizzly, horrible day today. Not very nice at all and quite cold. The wind chill factor, they've said, is going to be freezing, so it's a bit nippy and just not very nice, and the way it is at the moment. This week we have Valentine's Day on Friday, so and it's quite interesting now. They start talking about Valentines, Galentines and Palentines. So if you haven't got a traditional Valentine partner, husband, male friend that you send a Valentine's card to or go out for a meal or something, although whoever would go out for a meal on Valentine's night, I don't know, because the shops and all the restaurants seem to put their prices up by I don't know how much, just because it's a special night that they say. It's like Christmas Day, isn't it? People that go out and have a meal on Christmas Day and don't cook at home, the prices are just double what they would normally be. And Valentine's Day is exactly the same. So they started introducing, and I think it probably came from America. I don't know. Let me know if you know. But they've now started introducing Galentine's Day for girlfriends, so girl, and Palentine Day for pals, which I thought was quite amusing. I don't celebrate Valentine's Day, and I'll tell you why. I used to, but I don't now, because one of my grandsons was actually born on Valentine's Day. So it's a very special day for me because he was born on that day. He will be 12 now on Friday, and they're taking him at the weekend go-karting. I think go-karting, which evidently they did fairly recently and was a great success. So I think as a family they're going go-karting, which will be great fun. So, you know, that's a lovely thing. And so now every time it's February the 14th, I turn around and go, oh, fantastic, it's my grandson's birthday. So that makes a big difference. So what are we going to chat about this week? Well, I thought that, as I keep telling you, we're a community. I have some really lovely people that comment all the time. And this week we've had Judy. We've had Tanya, as always. Tanya is the number one. Judy comments as well often. Anne comments often. And Anthony comments often. He's been leaving some lovely comments now, and he was one of my subscribers way back when I was with Stamping Up and doing Stamping Up Craft. So he's been around for a long time, recently started commenting, which I think is lovely. So a hi to all of you, and anybody who's new. What I do once a week is, when I have my vlog on a Monday, I will recognise the people who've left comments for me during the week, because I think that it's nice to turn around and say thank you very much. And I do appreciate each and every one of you, because without your support and help, my channel wouldn't be here and my channel wouldn't grow. Now, as with everything, this year I have changed things a bit. As I've said before, I've got over 1,000 crafting videos. So virtually everything you can think of to do with paper craft, from making boxes to making cards to making Easter things, just go back and have a look. There are 1,000 of them. So I'm not doing as many crafting videos because there's more than enough of everything for you all to see. And I thought I would diversify a bit this year. And so I'm going to be doing on a Monday a weekly chat vlog, video log is what it's called, but a weekly chat. So I just sit and have a natter with you all and bring up topics and things of interest, and then you can write your comments and things underneath of your opinion and what you think about things. So I hope that that will grow in the community, and you know, my little YouTube community, and that it will spark some interesting conversations in your family, and then you can come and give me your comments of what you think. On a Friday, I'm doing a Foodie Friday, which is proving to be very popular actually, and I think I'm getting a lot of new subscribers from that, which is lovely. So the old subscribers, or some of the subscribers that I've lost because I'm not doing 100% crafting anymore, I've gained by getting some new subscribers for Foodie Friday. And a lot of the food that I cook is things that I like, things that I enjoy, and sometimes recipes that I found way back when. So I've got recipe books, as I've said, that belonged to my mother and her cuttings from magazines and things back in the 60s and early 70s. I've got cookery books myself that when I first bought my own home and left home, I was given as a housewarming present a cookery book, which I still use now. So recipes that have less sugar, less fat, that tend to be, as I say, the way back when. So on that, this Friday, being Valentine's, Galentine's, Palentine's, I thought I would do a recipe which is for a lemon mousse. And this is a very, very simple mousse. You only need a few ingredients, and it is very sharp. So it's using unwaxed lemons, so you use the zest of the lemon and you use the juice of the lemon. I liked it. It was very tart, very sharp. So if you like a little bit of extra sweetness, what I'd suggest is that you add a tablespoon of sugar into the mixture as you're making it. So either into the cream or into the egg whites, whatever, however way you want to do it. If you want to add a bit of extra sweetness, I think next time I would probably add, maybe not a tablespoon, but maybe sort of a dessert spoon. So just a little bit of sugar, because it was very, very tart. What I ended up doing was I drizzled some honey over the top of it. So I thought, oh, that was quite nice. And you could always put a biscuit base at the bottom, so you could crumble some digestive biscuits or something at the bottom. So you can add to it, but it makes enough for, I think, 5. So you could probably pad it to 6. Very rich, but delicious. So that's coming on Friday. And on Wednesday is a card. So back to a crafting one. This is using some of the, as you know, I'm on the design team for Indigo Blue. Indigo Blue is a stamping company, which is a British stamping company, and they make really, really, really high quality red rubber stamps. So that's coming up on, I'm looking across because I've actually got the cards sitting up on the side. It's an interesting background technique using some hearts. So watch that. You can use that for all sorts of things. If you're into your journal making, if you're into other types of craft, you can use this background. And then I've just used one of the new solos, which is, so solos are, as the name says, standalone stamps, one off, and they are just, they're all animals this time. Just lovely, absolutely adore them. And I've used a beautiful little deer. And it's called Deer Deer. So deer, D-E-A-R, as in my dear, and deer as in the animal, D-E-E-R. So I thought it was a quite nice pun name for it, Deer Deer. So that's coming on Friday. Now, back to the topic of the conversation, which is a little of what you fancy does you good. Now, this is one of the old sayings, a little of what you fancy does you good. And this can be done for whether you are trying to eat healthily, whether you are trying to lose weight, whether you're on a specific diet that you've got to be very careful of what you eat. If you think a little of what you fancy does you good. So you have decided in January New Year's resolution, that you were going to give up all sugar, and you weren't going to have any sugar at all, no sugar at all. So you've done it for the whole of January, and now you end up having a craving for sugar, and you really want to have sugar, and the temptation is to go and buy biscuits, cakes, lots of chocolate, and you literally binge because you've gone without it for such a long time that your body starts to crave for it, and you go like, oh, I really want this, I really want this, I really want this. And as we all know, if you buy a bar of chocolate, you will eat a bar of chocolate. So when I say a little of what you fancy does you good, if you buy something very small and something very sweet, so maybe you know, a one-off little chocolate that you can buy, something small, whatever the craving is, whatever the thing that you've given up, a little, and little is the operative word, a little of what you fancy does you good. So just have a little now and again, so it doesn't then become a thing that I think, oops, sorry, I've just knocked my foot, crossing my foot in the camera, sorry about that. I think, I don't know about you, I think every woman, and some men as well, but I think every woman has dieted at some point in their life, has said, oh, I need to lose a few pounds, oh, I don't need to, and they've gone on a cabbage soup diet. That's a long time ago, and I bet some of you remember the cabbage soup diet. And then there was just eating, and I can't even remember what the name of it was. There was one where all you ate was protein. So it was just pure meat. You ate any form of meat. So you could have steak and chicken and pork, whatever you wanted, but you had nothing else. Just no vegetables, nothing like that, just the meat. And so if you didn't get bunged up after a week or so of doing that, I've no idea. And then there's all sorts of other fad diets of, you know, cutting out carbohydrates completely, cutting out puddings, cutting out sweet things, cutting out just all sorts of things. Now, I've said to you that I try not to buy too much processed food. And I always say try and too much, because I do buy some occasionally, because a little of what you fancy does you good. But I do try. I try not to have too much refined sugars. I try not to. Says me, I make recipes and things like that which contain sugar. I try and keep the sugar down to a minimum, unless it's a recipe I'm trying. And then what I will do is to stop me overindulging and stop me having more than a little of what you fancy. I will cut things, as I've said to you, into quarters, keep one out, put the other 3/4 into the freezer in quarter portions, and then I will take it out, and that will, I ration myself that I have it for 2 or 3 nights, and then I won't have any at all for a week. So it's a little of what you fancy does you good. And I find it works for me. I'm very lucky, as I've said to you, you know, I'm a very healthy person at the moment, touch wood. But I find that if I don't ration myself, if I don't restrict myself, if I say I'm never going to eat, because as soon as you say that, you're almost doomed to fail. But keep in the back of my mind, a little of what you fancy does you good. So having a little bit of something. Don't go buying a whole packet of biscuits and eating the whole packet of biscuits. You know, ration yourself to 1 biscuit, put them away somewhere that you can't easily get to them, and then just have that thing which is stops the craving for the sweetness, and then you can make sure that you're on track with the things that you need to be. So the other thing is that you can do it exactly the same with clothing and buying things when you're out. So I try and keep a fairly tight budget, but I still have a little of what you fancy does you good. So if you think in January I was very good with my budgeting for my food. I didn't spend a lot on food. I didn't have a huge amount of expenditure going out in January apart from the normal things. But I did buy some things in the January sales because at that time of year they were cheaper than the rest of the year. Did I go mad and buy everything that I thought was in my size that was at a sale price or was too good to miss? No, I bought one jumper. I bought some wool, which will last me the whole of this year and give me projects and things to do, which I will enjoy making. So, yes, I have overindulged in January, but now we're into February and it's going to be Valentine's Day on Friday, 14 days, and I haven't spent anything on what I call luxuries or the little of what I fancy this month. So I at the moment am doing quite well in February because I overindulged a bit in January. So again, have that in your mind, a little of what you fancy does you good. So if you want to go out and have a little spend on something, do it within reason. So do it on a little of something, or something that you know is going to be used and worn and you're going to have for the rest of the year. So that's the sort of thing that I think is quite valuable to have, because if you turn around and say, right, that's it, I'm not going to spend at all this year, doesn't matter how tight your budget is, it's very difficult to fail, or very easy to fail, to get disillusioned and to turn around and think, what is it all worth it if I'm all the time just scrimping and scrimping and scrimping and saving and scrimping and scrimping and saving? That doesn't mean that you shouldn't scrimp, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't save, but a little of what you fancy does you good. So buy something as a treat, whether it's once a month, and if you want to set it as a goal, set it as a goal. But think about it and don't say, I can't afford to spend anything this year. Everything's so expensive. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Everything is expensive. Everything is going up all the time. But to keep, as we were talking about last week, about positive mindsets and having a positive attitude to things rather than a negative attitude, if you can turn around and say, okay, once a month, I'm going to put a few pounds by and I'm going to treat myself to something. It then gives you something to look forward to. Now, it might be, some people will be looking forward to having a holiday at some time. Now, holidays are very expensive depending where you go. I haven't been on holiday since I bought my little rescue dog. So I stay in this country. I don't feel the need or the urge or the want to go on holiday. So that's not a treat for me. A treat for me is overindulging on wool. A treat for me is buying a new top. A treat for me is buying myself a new pair of shoes or something. So that's my Achilles heel, as it were. Now, if you need to save up for a holiday, then I would suggest having a jar or a pot or something and putting the money aside, dividing it up at the beginning of the year. So we're February now, so we're not quite the beginning of the year. But if, for example, you wanted to go on holiday in September, let's say after the school holidays, you want to go on holiday in September, count out how many months, count out how many weeks it is until you want to go, and then start putting some money away each week. Divide up the amount that you will need and then put it away. Either put it into a separate part of a bank account or just put it into a jar. You know, quite often if you're somebody who uses money as opposed to using a credit card, or a debit card, then just put some money aside in a jar. It's down to you, but again, if it's something that you want to look forward to, a little of what you fancy does you good. I know a lot of people look forward to Christmas and they want to spend and overindulge at Christmas and do a lot of things that they wouldn't do for the rest of the year. Fine. There used to be, and there probably still are, Christmas clubs. So what would happen was that you would pay into this Christmas club every week until just before Christmas, and then all your shopping and food and presents and things you would have. The only trouble with the Christmas club was that they charged more for the items, and they charged you for the privilege of having the Christmas club. So it was a way that if you weren't disciplined, that you could do it. Now, for me, I'm somebody who, if I decide I want to do something, I can be quite disciplined, because if I know how much it is, it's making sure you look at things straight in your face and then do exactly what you need to do. So I will write lists. I will make sure that I know exactly how much is going out of my account every month. I make sure that I know how much I've got to spend, and then I try not to go over it. And I say try because sometimes I do go over, but I only go over a little bit because the next month I can claw it back. So the outlook for this is to turn around and say, a little of what you fancy does you good. So can you tell me any ways of a little of what you fancy does you good? And have you used that phrase, or have you used a way of budgeting and looking forward to things without overspending all the time? So I'm going to leave that there with you. If you are new and you haven't subscribed, please look at subscribing, because I try and keep things interesting. I'm putting up a post 3 times a week at the moment, sometimes 4. I'll do the odd short if the weather's really nice. So come along, join in the community, be one of the people that does all of the lovely comments. If you haven't commented before, do so. I'd love to hear from you. And I will look forward to seeing you all next week. As always, please stay safe and well. Please be kind, and look forward to seeing you soon. Bye-bye.